Hi, I'm Sue Smith, and I'm here with the president of the new Lenox School District 122 Foundation, Nancy Dye. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for coming into the studio. So what are we here for today?
Well, we're here to talk about the school foundation, what it brings to the community, as well as its primary fundraising focus, the teacher grant program.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the teacher grant program then?
Well, sure. And before I start, I would like to take the opportunity to thank the school board and the administrators in the community that have supported this foundation, which is about 3.5 years old.
Okay.
And without their support and their recognition, I wouldn't be sitting here today, nor would the foundation exist.
Right.
But that being said, I also have a full-time job, and that is helping school foundations around the country. And one of the things that I appreciate about that is that I learn a lot from those foundations, and the teacher grant program is certainly one of them.
Can you elaborate on what the teacher program is for us, Nancy?
Oh, sure. A teacher grant program is something that a foundation will garner donations because they can give a tax exemption to those donations, whether they be individuals, they can be business sponsors, they could be teacher donations, which essentially is not something we rely on, but it's almost like they're giving to their peers that end up getting the grant awards. School foundations primarily try to raise money for things that the district will not pay for or is not within their scope of paying for, because the state funding is, shall we say, so unpredictable and uncontrollable. And
Right.
Illinois is not the only state. However, the foundation can kind of fill in those extra special things that the school district just can't afford to do.
So how does the foundation raise money then? What's your primary fundraisers?
We have two right now. One is the Principal for a Day, which is in February, and every child is given a chance to be able to have their name put in a drawing. They can buy extra tickets for $1 a piece, and it goes to all the schools, whether it's kindergarten or junior high, and the selected child is able to act in that role for a day or a half day, whatever fits the principal's needs. Mm-hmm. And the first year we've made about $3,000 to $3,500 a year on that. Mm-hmm. In addition, we have an event every September, and it was primarily an event where adults came. They would pay a price. We would have silent auction items, some form of entertainment. One year it was a magician who was a big hit with people. Mm-hmm. Last year it was a photo booth. But the feedback we've gotten is we should try to engage more families, maybe even the children. Mm-hmm. The foundation is very sensitive to not stepping on the PTO's toes or band boosters. We all want to work together because
Right.
essentially we're in the same family.
Right.
However, when people say we may come to a more family-oriented event as opposed to adult-only, we have to listen to that. So we're fortunate to have a very great events committee, and they are going to be meeting soon to start deciding if we want to change the time of year, change the entire fundraiser to be more of a maybe competitive, younger crowd. We want to have more families that are engaged in future events.
Right. I know I went to the foundation one that you had before too, and you guys had a great silent auction there.
Thank you.
That's nice. And silent auctions are always fun to go to. So now if somebody wanted to donate to the foundation, how would they go about donating?
Well, there's certainly an address on our website. Our website's probably the best way to find out what's going on with the foundation, but we have a P.O. box in town. And you can certainly go ahead and be a sponsor, or you can just send in a donation. You can earmark it for some area specifically if you would like, or thank someone specifically. We've gotten donations that thank the music department or the special ed teachers because they're truly appreciative and they know this is one way with a tax deduction that they can thank those individuals.
That's one of the best parts is the tax deduction for people. There's not many tax deductions left out there.
Yes.
So can you please tell us more about the teacher grant program?
Sure. Teacher grants are something that almost every foundation across the country does, without exception. And not to go into a different area, but there's probably, out of the 16,000 school districts, there are about 7,000 foundations in the country. So there's a lot to learn from. But they will decide, they'll actually have an application process. Okay. And ours is called E3. It's either an enhancement, it's an essential, or it's an enrichment grant. And we will put them out about 4 to 6 weeks before a deadline. Last year what we did was we had the applications out, and I have to say that it was as much of a learning experience, even though I knew what other foundations did. It was as much a learning experience for the foundation board as it was for the teachers and the staff who were submitting. So I appreciate their faith as well as their patience in working with us and understanding we're learning as much as they are.
Right.
So we got 9 applications where they had to give us just a lot of criteria, a budget, and explain whether it was for one school or if it was for several schools. And we did not know it at the time we gave out the applications, but the foundation board decided that given we had $20,000 between the event from the previous fall and the principal for a day, and we were able to say that we would give out that amount of money. And so we decided it was best in the foundation's as well as the district's best interest to reach as many students as possible, to not have it be something the district was budgeting for or planned or could budget for, and then also something that was different in curricula.
Okay.
And we understand that that everybody wants different technology, but to give it to certain individuals or certain schools didn't seem the right way to start out. But things are a little bit different this year. One is that Common Core standards are being adopted in most of the states. I'm going to guess it's at least 40. And those are very technology-based learning concentrated, where there are foundations I know that are raising money to fill that gap that the school districts just cannot be able to afford without that extra money coming in. You know, there are also corporate grants as well, but those are very competitive. Anyway, in District 122, those were our criteria, and we're pretty much adopting those, but we feel that because we're both in year 2 of doing this, that we're all a little bit smarter, and that's why I really appreciate the opportunity to present this, because we can say this is what we're looking for. We're not saying, and it's premature for me to say otherwise, that it's going to be X number, you know, certain dollars will be allocated towards technology and certain will be towards something else. I don't know what we're going to get at this point. But last year we had 9 teacher grant applications. We got them anonymously, so the board would not say, okay, my child's here. You know, I didn't want anyone to think that there was a lack of transparency, because we did not know where they came from. And we ended up awarding grants for 200 Apple TVs, which
Nice, yeah.
essentially means 200 classrooms have Apple TVs. And then again, in the different curricula perspective, we awarded monies for a Scholastic art magazine that would serve all middle school students.
Very nice.
Very
nice.
small amount of money, but yet it was something. Art is always something that they seem to question as to whether it should be ongoing.
Right.
And so we thought, well, here's something that we can give them to at least have in the program rather than not.
So if somebody wanted to apply for the grant, they go on the website and get the form, or how do they get the form? It's on the website?
But we're going to make them available to all the principals,
Okay.
as well as have them on the website. We did that last year. So they'll be clearly, all the schedule will be there as well, so they know when we have to have the forms, to give us enough time to have the administrators go through them, because it's, you know, it may sound like there's a lot of unnecessary steps, but really I think the last thing we want to do is go out or spend money for something that doesn't fit into the overall district curricula.
Right. So they would go out and they would get the application, fill out the application, and then the foundation board reviews them and
Yes.
finds out which ones they feel would be the best fit for.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds really nice, Nancy. It's a great thing that you guys do for our community. As you know, I'm a school board member, and the financial situation, we certainly do appreciate all the help that the foundation provides to our students to help enhance their education.
Oh, thank you. We have a great board, and so we're very lucky. They're all very hardworking people that have other, you know, jobs, children, things like that. So they're out there working for us now, you know, nonetheless.
How many serve on the board, Nancy?
There are approximately, now we just added to it, so I'm going to say there are approximately 12 now.
Okay.
And then we have the liaison, and she's ex officio.
You know, we talked about how people can donate, but now what happens if they want to get involved with the foundation itself? How would they go about getting involved with the foundation?
They can serve on a committee or on the board by either sending an email to the foundation's email address, which is on the website, or contacting Jenny Zimmerman if they would like to ask her questions rather than just sending in an email. But we had a solicitation for volunteers in the school district newsletter that gets emailed out, and we've had several people step up, which is great for committee and board service.
Fantastic. So is there anything else that the foundation has in its works?
Well, we just started something new that anybody in New Lenox can do, and their friends and relatives, and that is Amazon. We know plenty of people order through Amazon. And if you go to Amazon Smile and put a New Lenox District 122 School Foundation, you can make a donation to the foundation through the website. But your purchase makes it, but Amazon actually pays for it.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm an Amazon shopper, and all you have to do is go to AmazonSmile.com, AmazonSmile.com, and
Yes.
put in choose, or you have to enter in the district.
It'll ask you what your charity is,
Okay.
and just put in New Lenox District 122
Oh,
Foundation.
that's an easy way to donate to the donation then.
Absolutely. Now, and the beauty of it is, once you choose the foundation, then every time you go back to shop on Amazon, it'll come back up.
Okay, and then what percentage do they give you out of that? Do you know?
It's 0.05.
Okay.
But some foundations have got it's money that you don't have to really work for. It just
Right.
comes in. We get a check once a quarter. We have no idea what it'll be, but we put it on the foundation has a Facebook page, which
Okay.
is very good about giving news about the foundation, whether we're looking for volunteers, had principal of the day photos, and we also have the Amazon Smile link on there so people can just click on it. But it's also on the website, so people can easily do that. So we hopefully that will get around to the entire community, and we'll be the ones that get the proceeds from that.
Well, Nancy, thank you for coming into the studio and sharing the information of the District 122 Foundation. We appreciate everything that you do for our school district.
Now, I will pass that on to the board. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.